Daniel, will you do the invocation and Alderman Malcolm, I believe it's in the pledge, please?
Yes, sir. May we bow our heads, please. Lord God, we thank you for this beautiful, beautiful day. We thank you for this great city of Ocean Springs, a city that's occupied by hardworking, industrious people who want to do the best for our community. Father, as we are approaching this weekend of Peter Anderson Festival, we ask you for good weather. We ask you for good crowds, and we ask you for the success of our business people, and especially we ask for the safety of all. God bless us all. God be with us all. For all these things we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let the record show that all aldermen are present and accounted for. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The first item on the agenda, or third item on the agenda, is public hearing, 424 Washington Avenue, rezone from CMX2, community commercial mixed, to RM2, multi-family residential district.
Reverse that from RM2 to CMX2.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
you can explain that.
Yeah. Yeah, this item had its public hearing at the Planning Commission last month, and it's a rezone, as said, from RM2 to CMX2. The Planning Commission did vote to approve the rezoning, so this is the second public hearing in front of you all, and Wade can add anything, kind of describe what their request is. If yep. This is all.
There we go. Okay, thank you. Carolyn said the Planning Commission considered this at its meeting on October 12th. And the motion of the Planning Commission, just to start things off, is a unanimous vote by the Planning Commission to recommend approval of the zoning change. They considered the fact that the property has been in an office use since roughly about 1995, not causing any kind of issues to this neighborhood, rather than was not in multifamily use as it was zoned. Also, they considered the various changes to the character of the neighborhood, which are some of the requirements for any kind of zoning change. Looked at the character of the south end of Washington Avenue as an activity area. Also the changes in the area, including the Wamba's Creative Complex at 505 Washington, and the redevelopment of the gas station at 522 Washington into a restaurant. So they looked at those items, discussed it, heard from the applicant, who I think has some things to say on it, and it said they did recommend a approval of the zoning change with a unanimous vote. That concludes what I have to say, and I think Mr. Floyd has some things. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
I'll make a motion that we go into public hearing.
Okay.
Second.
Blackman, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is there anyone here who would like to speak to this for or against? Joe, you want to speak?
I mean, I'm happy to speak for.
Okay.
I do have a presentation prepared. I'll try to keep it brief. It'll be much briefer than it was here in Planning Commission.
I heard it was 45 minutes.
Close.
After the meeting, my wife said, you know, there's never been a bad short speech. And so I'm going to try to I'm going to attempt
very thorough.
I'm going to attempt to take her advice on that.
10 minutes.
Yeah. I'm hoping I can wrap it up faster than that.
30 seconds.
A couple
Cutting into your time.
coming around.
Unless you feel like it out.
I don't. And I think there's a clicker somewhere, maybe.
It's all manual.
Oh, okay.
Jennifer's the quicker.
All right. Okay. All right. This is a little different. Hey, my name is Joe Floyd. I'm sorry, Mike, that you're going to have to hear this again, but this is the abbreviated version. I'm here to request y'all's opportunity to redevelop this site. It's 424 Washington. It's Earl Denham's old law office. It was a commercial law office for the past 25 to 30 years, and I'm seeking to rezone it from RM2 to CMX2. And I'm going to try to go through this quickly. So next slide. We're not going to mislead you about what we're trying to do with this. I have a track record in town of revitalizing dilapidated properties in Ocean Springs. I'm definitely active in our community in terms of being a volunteer for time and resources. And I'm experienced and somewhat educated. I don't know how that got on here. And I'm a husband and father. That was more applicable last time because my wife and kids were here. So these are 7 properties in town that are only one of which I had to seek a rezone on, but were dilapidated or historical that we renovated into something better. And I'm just going to walk through them real quick. Cottages at Oak Park used to be way back, I'm not going to belabor all of them. Cottages at Oak Park used to be the Pines Mobile Home Park. And I feel like that was a major transformation for town. That was the last time I was in front of this body for a rezone. It was a dilapidated mobile home park that was built prior to Hurricane Camille that was renovated and turned into a nice, productive property in town. Oak Park West was very similar, both of which are on Government Street. 702 Porter is was a cottage that also needed a lot of work on Porter that converted to an office. John Myers Appraisal Place is there right now. The Roost is one I think most of y'all are familiar with at 604 Porter. The Davidson Smith home is the oldest home, I believe, in Ocean Springs, built in 1853. It's on the registry. That we did a decent bit of renovation to, though I can't take full credit. The Hoppy Allred and his dad Chet did a lot of work to it as well, but we have sustained it for the foreseeable future. 406 Cleveland is also on the historic Oak Alley on Cleveland Avenue. Really not totally germane to here, but it's just an example of a place that was dilapidated that got brought back to place. And then what I see this development with the old Earl Denham office building more like is at the Hemingway, which is at 929 Washington, north end of Washington. That's the next slide. Thanks. Sorry. Trying not to be the micro machines man. So this is what the renovation, this is what the building looked like before my partner and I bought it. I think this is the most applicable property that I've done in town to what I'm hoping to do if y'all give us the ability at the old Earl Denham building. We just converted this old thing to mixed use. There's retail, office, and some lodging to it, and so these are what it looks like now. There's 3 slides. Community engagement, I'm on the school board of trustees. Thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to do that. We kicked off the homeless council this past week. And these are just a couple of examples of things I'm involved in town with the Walter Anderson Museum, Chamber, and myself, or some of the entities I'm a part of, contribute to a lot of different community partnerships with nonprofits in town. And why does that matter? Because I'm here not as a flipper. I'm a stakeholder in town. I've tried to create positive community assets and not undesirable places in town. try to be active in the community. I'm not an outsider, and I think that should give the board some sense of predictability and not uncertainty. So from a technical perspective, if you look at the high-level rezone, we're asking to change it from RM2, which is essentially dense apartments, to CMX2, which is low-impact commercial. From a high level, downtown's pushing in every possible direction. If you think about the apex of what I consider to be downtown, which is Washington and Government, it's moving out west via Porter. The city's put in an overlay district for Porter Avenue, which desires more commercial activity out west. It's going out east on Government, and there's a new development that's coming out that way. The downtown overlay district sort of wants it to go that direction. Northward is bounded by the railroad track in 90, and I feel like the south end of commercial development for our town is this property. Also, the use of golf carts has added to that, as well as we've had a huge sales tax collection increase over the past 16 years. This is a slide that I pulled from the Department of Revenue's website from 2004 to 2020. There's been a $1.8 million increase, or 67%, in sales tax collections over the last 16 years, which just is evidence of additional commercial growth that's happened in our community. Big picture. From this site specifically, the law office is adjacent to CMX2. Everything at the Walter Anderson Museum in North is zoned that way. Next slide. This is it with my little red arrow pointing at the site. Everything north in the pale pink color is, tan pink color is CMX2. So it's adjacent to what we're requesting. Next slide. This site is directly included in, or certainly adjacent to, the downtown overlay district, which wants more commercial activity in town. Here's an image from the UDC of where the downtown overlay district is. I don't think the map actually touches this site, but the language in the UDC says that if you're in the historic downtown district, you're also in the overlay, and this I don't think makes it in the map, but it's actually in the historic district. So the lawyers would have to say it, but I believe it's in there. This is some language about what the downtown overlay district wants to see happen, which is mixed use and commercial as bullets 2 and 3, which is what we're proposing to do. In your comprehensive plan, the Ocean Springs blueprint, it does identify this site as a commercial center low intensity for its future development, or for this site in its future development tier map. And that's a slide of that development tier map. The comprehensive plan describes the commercial center low intensity as essentially small mixed use neighborhood centered development, which is what we're proposing to do. Okay. If I have 1 minute left, I guess we'll just, why don't you just fly to the end then? It's possible, I believe that we meet the intent of the rezone. Go one more up. Okay. So the properties function for the last 25 or 30 years as a commercial law office. It's functioned as commercial use, although the zoning has been for apartments, and that's either a mistake or certainly evidence of a trend and change. It's adjacent to CMX2, and it's in the downtown development district. The comprehensive plan shows this office, or this property, is office use 12 years ago, which would be commercial. And and it shows the future as a commercial use, which is what we're requesting. And if I wouldn't talk so long, there's evidence of public need through the sales tax evidence, certainly growth in tourism over time, and the demand created by golf carts, among other reasons. And then the other big thing that Wade mentioned earlier is that the Planning Department and Commission recently allowed commercial use about 100 feet from this building. And so that coupled with the restaurant use that was allowed at the old gas station on the corner of Porter and Washington, we believe are overwhelming evidence to allow this rezoning to take place and for the city to act in that way. And we respectfully ask for y'all to do that. And if there are any questions after my Micro Machines presentation, I'm happy to take any.
Anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion that,
It's a public hearing.
A motion to close. Motion to close. Anybody else have anything to say? Anything against? Okay, we have a motion to close public hearing.
Thank y'all for the opportunity to present. Sorry I went so long.
Mr. Cox,
Second.
second by Mr. Blackman. Any discussion? Okay, make a motion.
I have a motion that we vote.
All in
This
favor?
is a, if this is an ordinance, it has to be changed by ordinance, so it needs to be roll call.
Make a motion that we approve 424 Washington Avenue to rezone to CMX2 from RM2.
Got a motion by Mr. Aldermen.
Second.
Second by Ms. Who was the second? Ms. Burgess. Roll call. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
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 aye,
Aye.
Motion carries. Jose had an illness, and they've just wanted to come back maybe in the middle of November meeting, so they will not be presenting this evening. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody wanting to address the board on an agenda item can do so at this point. You'll have 3 minutes, and this will last a total of 30 minutes. Okay. Moving on to old business. Adopt an ordinance amending ordinance 2018-10, chapter 14, to allow golf carts on certain roads. Alderman Altamont, you want to discuss this?
Yeah, we discussed this at the last meeting about the issue I was having in the downtown with the off-road vehicles that were considering themselves as low-speed vehicles. And the ordinance you have in front of you tonight that's amended is to take the low-speed vehicles off of that ordinance.
Okay.
If I have any questions,
Make an amendment, motion.
make a motion that we adopt the ordinance amending ordinance 2018-10, chapter 14, to allow golf carts on certain roads.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Altamont, second by Mr. Blackman. Is there any discussion?
I would, if this goes through tonight, if this is unanimous vote tonight, I'd like it to go through, like it to go in force immediately, and we put out a public notice to advertise it.
Okay.
And just to be clear, some of these that were low-speed vehicles were anything but, I mean, they were 40, 50 mile an hour vehicles that didn't meet the spirit of the ordinance.
Right, and for the safety of us on our streets, that's why I'd like it to go into effect immediately and us advertise it to the public then.
Anybody else? Okay. We'll need a roll call on this, Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
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 aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, new business. We have an appeal of zoning and adjustment board denial of a variance to allow an existing attached carport structure to encroach into the minimum front yard setback. The address is 1110 Peavy Street. Carolyn, you want to address this?
Yeah, well, just to introduce it, this did go to ZAB at their last meeting, and they recommended to deny it. So in this case, the applicant has asked to appeal their decision to you. And again, Wade can give you some background on what the appeal is, and we have the applicant.
Yeah, this is at, as I said, it's 110 Peavy Street. And Ms. Greenberg, the homeowner, is here also to answer any questions, maybe give more details about it if you'd like that. But the issue here is that it's an attached carport, as you can kind of see from the photo on there, that's been on the house actually twice. It was originally built in 2015 and reconstructed 2014 approximately, and then reconstructed in 2021. It was noticed by, I think, some of the code enforcement officials at the time, and was reported that it violated the setback requirements. The issue is that because of you can see on the lot's location, it's in the bulb of that bend of the street, so at the point of where the carport is really at the closest point of the house to the street, really reduces the ability to put a carport that would be compliant with the 25-foot setback. Ms. Greenberg built this to give some coverage to their vehicles. It's been in existence for, since 2014 without issues to the neighbors. But when she did apply for a variance, but unfortunately the Zoning Adjustment Board under the UDC maximum variance they can grant is 25%. To make this legitimate would require actually a 68% variance, so that's beyond the realm of what the Zoning Adjustment Board can do. For that reason, they had no choice but to recommend denial of the variance. But Ms. Greenberg is appealing that recommendation to y'all as the Board of Aldermen to allow the existing carport to remain in its current location, which would be an encroachment into the front yard, but as I said, given that location on the house, a compliant carport really would offer very little, if any, protection to their vehicles. So I'm glad to answer any more questions, or as I said, Ms. Greenberg is here if you have questions for her about it also. Thank you.
Thank you, Wade.
Mayor, I've been out to this site, visited with Ms. Greenberg and looked at it. We measured and we tried to figure out any way to even get close to that variance percentage. And it's really, like Mr. Morgan said, it's impossible with that cul-de-sac area that protrudes into her yard, basically. With that being said, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the appeal and allow the structure to remain at 110 Peavy.
I'll second
Motion
that.
by Mr. Blackman, second by Mr. Papania. Is there any discussion?
And Rob, you had said that the neighbors were all in agreement, right?
Yeah, there's a list on.
Can we make that as 12?
It's in the agenda packet. There's a list of signatures from neighbors. Exhibit 1. It's like 114, 116, 115, 113, 106 PV all signed that they're in support of it.
Yeah, I will say I'm always cautious about voting for things like this, and fearing that it would create a precedent, but except in extremely limited circumstances. But I think this is one of those circumstances. It's given the shape of the property, the location, this is very unique. I don't see where it sets any kind of precedent, and I think if ZAB had the authority, they would have approved it. They were just limited in what they could do.
They had no mechanism to approve it.
No, they did not.
Anything else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The police department, number letter K.
Okay, we're going to pull letter K out of the consent agenda. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item K.
Motion by Mr. Empey, second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we'll deal with, adopt a resolution to authorize to declare 4 vehicles surplus, no use to the city, and the units are listed on the agenda. Wade?
Well, I just want to table it for 2 weeks to see if the school district might need these cars. I know a few of their cars are in bad shape. They're not able to go back and forth to the ball games and other places. And maybe they can use these cars, in the city instead of just donating it to other agencies.
You talked to Mark about it?
I would agree with that totally.
I talked to Tyler.
Hold on to it till we find out from the school district. Yeah, I agree.
He was, he just walked out, but he was on board with that too.
Okay, so we're going to just table that for 2 weeks.
You want it brought up 2 weeks again, is that what you're saying, Mr. Wade?
Yes, ma'am.
So Kevin, you're just gonna find out what the details were
Yeah,
in
you
regards to the donation?
Well, what happened was, I think, is they went to look at the car, but he had to go to the school board to find out if they had money for new cars or if they were gonna take.
The thing is, though, did we already talk to Lucedale
That's what I'm asking.
and George County about
We'd already talked to the
What
school
were
also.
the,
Huh?
The people, we'd already talked to the school also, they were just waiting till they had their meeting to discuss.
Yeah, their board meeting.
Yeah, right, but I mean, are these people waiting for these vehicles?
They have, they have accepted it on their account.
They've accepted on their agendas.
I mean,
What
this-
I'm confused about is, I was told these vehicles needed lots and lots and lots of work. Does the school know that?
Yeah.
That they can't even drive these vehicles?
If this has already been accepted by other cities and counties, I mean, how could we table this and
Yeah.
change what we already have in
It's not a good
process?
idea. It's stupid.
For one, nobody knew they were coming up to go, so I mean, this needs to be run before the board before we agree to give it to another department.
Was it not up already on
No.
here?
No,
This is the
this
first time
is
I
the
saw
first
it.
we saw it was on the agenda, so I think it's best to at least give the
Yeah,
city.
we can table it 2 weeks, it won't hurt anything.
right, my question was just, what were the circumstances in determining the donation to Lucedale and Goche and then?
Captain Tyler.
Shane is
that
back.
area? Yeah.
Until we know.
Do you know if Lucedale has already done something to accept these vehicles from us?
They just did in their paperwork. It's not that big a deal to throttle it if you'd like. But if you have any questions, I can answer for you pretty quick, because I'm in charge of that situation.
Well, I understand that we're trying to, we want to help out our own school board and things like that, but if these people in these other counties and cities are already planning on getting this through a conversation that we had, I mean, I don't know how we could, not do it.
Well, the school district came first and looked at the vehicles that they wanted. And then the sheriff came, and then he spoke for Lucedale. The vehicles that the sheriff is interested in, the school board's not interested in them.
And that's the one
I wouldn't do
listed.
that. I know how to run that part of the business. I wouldn't do that to somebody.
No, so
But-
I understand, but, so you're saying that what's on this list is not correct?
It's correct.
This is the one that the school board does not want.
That's what they told me. They wanted Crown Vics because they run longer, they're cheaper to put money into to make it longer. That's what they wanted. They didn't say anything about, Chief Galloway didn't say anything about these 3 vehicles.
So what they want is not on this list?
No, sir.
Okay.
There's some
Then I'm gonna make a motion that
miscommunication.
we approve item K.
Second it.
Motion by Mr. Blackman, a second by Mr. Empey. Any discussion?
There's obviously been some miscommunication because were asking for more time to make sure the school board wasn't gonna move forward with new vehicles.
Yes, sir. That was what I was.
And they would like us to hold up to
That's
make
for
sure
sure.
that's the case.
That's perfectly okay with
And
me.
that's why it'd be best to give 2 more weeks. They're
Perfect.
not gonna hurt anything
No,
to sit there
They ain't gonna hurt anything.
and in the future, I would love to know before we make a deal with another agency, so that we can check, with people within the city before we do that.
I think that's what they did.
I thought I did it, but I didn't know that they didn't do it with their people, because Chief Galloway said he had to get with his people,
Yeah.
and they were gonna get
I
with.
think they just hadn't got the final answer yet.
Right.
And we're moving, if we approve this tonight, then it's gonna cut them off, because they gotta have their board meeting tonight.
I figured y'all wouldn't figure that part out. I just did my part of getting
For
it
the next
there.
week.
Is it next week?
Would it hurt anything, Chief, would it hurt anything to wait 2 weeks?
No, sir, it won't hurt anything to wait 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It won't hurt anything at all. But these vehicles, they weren't interested in. So that's why, and the
They already
sheriff,
answered them.
the sheriff will be able
Saying
to.
if they're not interested in it, why are we beating the dead horse and waiting?
Unless they change their mind, if they're not allowed to get new vehicles, then they may change their mind to these vehicles.
Right,
They
they
got a lot
need
more
to
money than we got. And they're losing money.
But if they do offer to get, brand new vehicles, then it's up to Chief Galloway,
So
so.
we got a motion and a second. If anybody's got anything to say, discussion, let's just, kind of, instead of back and forth, let's just kind of say it and then we'll move on and see what the vote is.
Mr. Mayor, if I can, on this motion, it needs to also say that the city has declared these vehicles as surplus, and the city has further made a factual determination that it would benefit the citizens of Mississippi to donate these vehicles to another jurisdiction, town, or county.
Okay. Note that in the motion. Anybody else?
So what's the motion? Are we tabling it or we're not?
Yeah, this is
Voting.
to approve.
The motion is to approve the donation.
to George County and
George County.
Lucedale. And the other was to hold it up and give the school a chance.
But, so, final discussion point, it sounds like the school's already looked at it.
No,
They
they
said they
have
were more.
not these cars.
He just said that they
He just
did.
said
They were
that
talking
they
about
did.
Crown Vics. And
Yeah,
apparently they said they didn't have Crown Vics, so
No.
they were waiting to hear from
Why
their
don't they
school
just
board.
buy
to
new
pick up
cars?
on it.
These are Dodge Chargers.
I mean, they'd be more dependable.
Okay.
Well,
We can beat,
Since it makes
we
no
can beat this
difference,
dead
since it
horse.
makes
tried
no
to be
difference to
as
table
early as
it,
possible.
I make a motion that we just table it
No, you
until
gotta
there's
go.
some clarification.
You already got
The other's
motion.
already made that.
Yeah, it was already motion to table.
There's no motion to be made like that. There is a motion to donate the vehicles to George County and Lucedale, and there's a second. Now, we're discussing that motion, so if anybody has anything else they want to say it now, and then we'll call the vote. Okay. I'm gonna call for a roll call on this, because I think we got a split vote, so.
Nay.
Aye.
No,
No.
Aye.
Okay,
Motion.
well, can I have a show of hands?
4-3, motion fails.
Motion fails.
Okay, well, who was aye and who was nay? All right. So,
We had Blackman, Aldermen, and Impey. Aye. Okay, now we got that done. Thank you. Move on to department reports. Anything pulled from the docket of claims? Need a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the docket of claims. All expenditures are appropriate and authorized by law and spread in summary elements.
Motion by Mr. Impey,
Second.
second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion to accept the monthly budget reports.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Impey, second by
Second.
Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Human Resources, discuss the changing the city holiday schedule to observe President's Day instead of Mardi Gras Day.
You on board with that, kid?
so this
I don't
came
get a vote.
this came up last year after the Mardi Gras holiday. We had citizens knocking on the door. They didn't understand why we were closed on Mardi Gras. We polled the other cities and found that all the other cities, with the exception of Biloxi, because of parades, that everybody else is closed on President's Day, which is in line with the state. We typically follow the state.
So after discussion of the mayor and department heads, we discussed and proposed that we change our holiday from Mardi Gras holiday to President's Day, which is the third Monday in February on our schedule.
Legally, you're only supposed to change one holiday with the state, and we've actually changed two, which we thought was fine, except the county and all is open. And so that confuses the public that we're the only city that's not open in the county that day. The county is open Mardi Gras. So it's Pascagoula and Goshen.
I'll make a motion to change the city holiday schedule to observe President's Day instead of Mardi Gras.
Motion by Mr. Impey.
Second.
Second by Mr. Aldermen. Any discussion?
I'm not in favor of this.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Whoa, hold on. Let's do a roll call on this because there was more nays than I was anticipating here.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Hey,
Nay.
Aye. I mean, your department heads asked for it.
They're the
What
ones
is
that
it?
asked for it.
Well, let me just tell you, by law, you have,
In lieu of Confederate Memorial Day.
okay, well, the motion has failed. I guess we'll bring it back up later. Okay.
I just can't see
Just like-
people not wanting to be off on Mardi Gras.
Okay.
That's what
It's a national holiday. President's Day is a national holiday.
Okay, moving on to community development and planning, adopt a resolution to correct the legal description on an adopted resolution to abandon an unnamed alley, Church Street / Benville Boulevard. Carolyn?
Yeah, this is basically an undeveloped right-of-way that we've been struggling with off and on for a while, and it was approved to be vacated. And what's supposed to happen in that case is it splits between the two adjacent properties and they absorb it. When it got filed, the legal description only encompassed one of those properties. So when the mapping went to do it, they couldn't account for all of the abandoned right-of-way. So this is just to correct that error. It basically is the same resolution that was passed prior, and the history of it's in your memo. But it just corrects the legal description with the same resolution that was passed in 2020. We tried to correct it in 2020 because it never got filed in 2009, and we received the wrong legal description, and so now we have to correct it again.
2009 was the original.
That was the original vacation, and then 2020 was supposed to be the correction, but the legal description was wrong. So this is the same exact resolution with the correct legal description. And this will allow the county to actually change the maps. And the reason I put it on department reports, it is a roll call resolution. So it's really just kind of housekeeping to allow the map to be fixed and have this right of way vacated as it was intended.
Okay, make a motion.
Motion to adopt resolution to correct legal description on adopted resolution to abandon an unnamed alley, Church Street, Benville Boulevard.
Second.
Okay. Mrs. Burgess made the motion, Mr. Altamont made the second. I need a roll call on this one.
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, building department, discuss proceeding with the public hearing process for demolition of 1001 Cheney Street. Darryl, you want to
Yes,
talk about this?
yes, somewhere along the way between me getting here and the last one leaving, apparently this got dropped and nothing was ever done. We got a complaint on it, it's the only reason I knew it existed. It's a house that is way beyond repair, it's got trees literally growing through it. What I want to do is start the process again, going back through what we have to do legally, and then have the house demoed, and then of course it attached to the taxes for what it costs the city to have it demoed.
That's what it looks like in its present state.
Yes. I've reached out, I've written numerous letters to every address I could find that the owner lives at, and I've gotten zero response from them whatsoever, so.
And the house is pretty much in disrepair. The roof is damaged.
I would be scared to even go in it. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. bad.
Equal a little bit.
I don't know. I have no idea. I was told she lived with her son in Louisiana. We managed to get that address. We sent a letter there. Got no response from it either. So this was been going on since 2019. The 2019 pictures didn't look as bad as what it looks now.
So what's the next step on this?
Basically, we just have to go out and post on the property condemned, post a public hearing on there, put it on the website, a newspaper. In other words, we have to make every effort to let them know that there's going to be a public hearing. Basically, schedule a date, which I'm probably going to say maybe the first meeting in December.
So is this something that Public Works would do, or we're gonna go out for bid on this kind of stuff?
Alan has discussed tearing down another one that we're trying to get done, so I don't know, it would be something you could tackle.
Because the cost would go on their taxes,
Either way,
right?
Yeah, they're
Against
gonna,
the
it's
taxes.
gonna go on the taxes.
Contractors do it, put it on the taxes.
There'll be a lien on there.
But right now, basically just get the hearing started, and we can determine that once we have the hearing.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead with the public hearing process for demolition of 1001 Cheney Street.
Motion by Mr. Alderman, second by Mr. Cox. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This part of the agenda is general public comment. Anybody wanting to address the board on any item related to the city business may do so at this time. You'll have 3 minutes to address the board, maximum of 30 minutes for this portion. Okay. Moving along here, going into Alderman report. Alderman Sporn, Ms. Burgess, you have anything?
Just really quickly, Alan, thank you again. There's been so much activity in Ward 1. Everybody's very pleased to see all of that. Just need to get that sign that we put on Bristol moved southwest, where it is right now, so it doesn't have any more confusion. And Stephen, sorry, I could not get this over to you, but the John Gill Children's Park.
Yes, ma'am.
The light fixture and the outlet is not working.
Okay, I'll get Scott to go more
We
look at
have,
it.
kind of in the park coming up. and
Yes, ma'am.
So if we can just know that it's,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
Oh, and the dividers, I do have a resident that's willing to go ahead and hammer those down. I just didn't want there to be any conflict with them doing that. You know, the dividers that divide where the playground equipment is, some of them are a little off-centered and can be leveled out a little bit.
Okay.
So he just
Scott
went
was
ahead
supposed
and
to
do
look
it.
at that today, but I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we, we can just do it all at once, that'd be lovely.
No problem.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Ricky, Mr. Alderman?
All I really have is Peter Anderson Festival this weekend, making sure that we have all our plans in place with the SAR signs or whatever you call those things, the A-frame signs on Highway 90 and barricades, portalets, street sweeping,
We got it.
Chick, you have anything on that?
We met today and went over all of that.
Okay,
Please.
that's it. It's gonna be good weather.
You need another meeting on that?
I'm good on it.
You good? All right, good. Anything else, Rick?
No, that's it.
Alderman Wade?
Alan, on 105, they cut out of that road on the Myrtle,
105 Myrtle.
just check and see about maybe patching that next little while.
I got it on the asphalt list.
Okay.
I gotta concentrate downtown tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
Alderman Cox?
I just want to say I think the haunted house, although I didn't get to go through it, was a huge success for downtown this Halloween. There was a lot of work and effort put into that by the school district, the Walt Anderson Theater, project players, the chamber, the city, all involved. They did a fantastic job. It looked like it went over very well. It was
scary,
huge.
very scary.
But hopefully next year it'll just get better and better. Another thing is Stephen had showed me a quote that he had received for netting at the ballparks. And although it was not quite complete, he's got to get back with us. I just wanted to let y'all know he went out and got quotes from outside sources, and actually a homegrown Ocean Springs business has done very well in the quoting, and it looks like that's the way it'll go. Hopefully next meeting, or possibly sooner if we need to get them in motion sooner.
Yeah, you'll be pleased.
Make that.
Are we looking at the kinds of fully?
Well, that would be nice, but I don't, it's putting it right back the way they are.
Okay, all right, because I know it requires a man lift in order for that.
How much more is it to do the pulley thing?
Versus
To where?
renting
That's
it.
something we could ask.
I'll
That's
ask
something we could ask
tomorrow.
before the
With
next
the
meeting.
price you'll be pleased with, then I'll be glad to ask.
Yeah, I would like
I
to
mean,
see the
You want
gym.
to-
I think it's something that we should look at
Next time?
because
Yes, that should be on
for
the
maintenance reasons.
But he had one thing he needed to add to it, so he needs to go back to him and finalize the quote. I was very pleased to hear that Ocean Springs Company was competing that well with the others. That's all I've got.
Alderman Companion.
Just for general information, Mr. Cox and I went to the Gulf Shores yesterday and visited Gulf Shores Utilities. And we did it in terms of taking a look at their sewer lift stations, because we're faced here in town with raising approximately 15 of them. And we went and looked at them, and there's been a lot of discussions about quick disconnects and things. And they are not using, I'm not going to get into the weeds, because we're on first base, and we plan to meet with Alan and Matt and kind of work our way through this thing. But they're not using the quick disconnects. They have another procedure, which I think, at this point in time, Mr. Cox and I think is a pretty superior way of handling. You know, think of Gulf Shores, they go underwater, maybe more than us. But anyway, we're working on it, and I wanted to, I think, Carolyn, you may have been involved, no, Patty, to let you know that we're looking at doing something besides elevating these lift stations. So.
Are we talking about Nate projects? Because I just asked for the extension on Nate.
I can't, I'm on first base, and I don't want to say, I assume that's what, let us all sit down and work our way through this and get good information and decide what we're going to do.
Well, I mean, once we get the extension, I guess we can turn it back around, or we won't get the extension, it won't matter. But we've asked for an extension. We have an extension till November 21st of this year.
Okay.
We are asking for an extension, and if y'all want them to pay, I don't know how we'll go from there, but yeah, I am interested to be involved in this. Yes.
So we've got November the 21st.
Of this year.
Yep. Oh,
We're trying to
definitely,
get
you're gonna be,
extension
don't
for
worry,
you.
you're gonna be involved.
It's a very informative meeting.
Yeah, there
I was
was
down there, I could have met y'all.
there was a lot of, well, you should have called. There was a lot of meat. This was an excellent meeting as far as, I think, Mr. Cox and I were concerned. And these folks have it down pat, and they've got a good system. Anyway, yeah, we'll get. And Mayor, I just was invited by Mr. Overstreet to go down there. And so I don't know whether you want to I think we need a committee to do this, 3 aldermen to take a look at this. Okay. And that would be my view, but I'm not volunteering or unvolunteering. I just got a phone call, and I thought it was important, and I went.
Well, I'll elaborate a little more. I mean, the gentleman that we talked to, he basically started us out in the classroom and drew everything out that they had, and then took us out in the field. And we went to 4 different lift stations and showed us every moving part, and it was very, very informative. So I'm looking forward to meeting with Matt and Alan and going around and doing the same to ours. We might be very close to the same. And when I asked the gentleman about FEMA, about what kind of claims they had, he said, we've never had to have a big claim with FEMA on lift station.
Really?
So I was like, really?
Very exciting.
So
it is. Yeah.
That was good news.
I think the big positive, and I hope we get there, is instead of raising these things 12 or 14 feet in the air,
I agree.
in addition to the equipment above it, that we can just do what they're doing down there. They're sitting flat on the ground, basically. And,
Really?
oh, yeah, they've got it. Anyway, we're getting off in the weeds, and we need to talk about it.
You're taking the lead off of first base there.
Don't start me out. And just, and Alan and his time, yeah. And I haven't done anything with this, but I have got a request or so from the folks teachers at Pecan Park, always get confused, Pecan Park on Hanley, okay, about expanding the school zone. And before I say a word to anybody, I'd like you two to take a look at it and come back and tell us what you think.
Sure.
That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Black?
I was gonna ask Carol something, but I'll do it offline.
Yeah, I already had my answer, was call me tomorrow, I've got
Yeah,
something I need
I'll
to
call you tomorrow.
discuss.
I'm good.
Okay.
I had asked a while back, do you have any idea when the paving is gonna be back over here?
Last time I talked to them, they said the 1st of November.
That's what I thought. Okay,
Is that the paving for the city?
Yeah.
yes.
That's what Jonathan Baum told me. That's the only person that,
Will we have Barber Circle done by then?
Yeah.
And I've got a few things for Stephen, but I'll save that for after the meeting. If we don't have anything for executive session.
We don't have anything for executive session.
There was something I meant to bring up in department reports, if I could have a second. We did receive a call today about an HPC commissioner that needs to resign effective immediately. And it's Joanna Warsh, her mother is ill, so she's effective immediately, and I just want to get authorization to accept her resignation and re-advertise to replace as soon as possible. Huh? Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
To allow Carol to do so.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Aldermen. Any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Make a motion to recess till November 16th.
Motion by Mr. Iffy, second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye. My goodness. I think that was a time there, buddy. It's a wrap.
Tired of statue celebration.
I'm telling you.
You trying to set a record?
Man, you got a good one, Shane. We got to have Shane come more often.
He's jealous.
I'm telling
He
you.
said, "Oh, you left me an hour and a half."
They put a bucket of sand on it, they'll dry it up some. It was all mud.
I was about to say, exactly. We don't have to emphasize that.
Oh, he would.
You want to look at that John Titan that they got there fixing to get rid of for Miss Sarah? I think that's a portable truck.
He said he found it, there's a difference.
She needs a truck.
And if you're design it, lends itself to what you're trying to do. I think it'll be good.
Going to Jackson.
James.
I've got James trying to get this drainage. When do you think you'll be going up there?
He was to city.